So, when we talk about intellectual property in the age of AI, we face unprecedented challenges. Large-scale AI training often scrapes vast amounts of creative content without permission, which blurs the line between genuine inspiration and outright stealing. This isn't limited to any one culture or genre. It affects across all creative fields, raising serious questions about consent, ownership, and ethics in digital reproduction. I mean, just this week, my mom found out that her small, regionally published book has ended up in the ChatGPT training data. It's literally everything. Consider how AI-generated images operate. Rather than capturing the rich, nuanced context of maybe an indigenous cultural style, these systems create homogenized averages that can strip away the spirituality and unique significance of the original works. This is more than a loss of cultural context, it's a violation of creative labor. In his article, AI Art is Theft, Labor, Extraction, and Exploitation, Getz in 2024 makes the argument that it's made that our creative labor is an extension of ourselves. When AI systems appropriate the creative building blocks, our art, our ideas, and our cultural expressions, without permission, they effectively commit a form of labor theft. The stolen creative labor not only dilutes cultural expression, but also undercuts the livelihoods and identities of original creators. Furthermore, there is a critical concern that AI-generated art, by relying on averaging and mimicking established styles, risks flattening, like we've heard a bit, the rich diversity of creative expression. So instead of pushing boundaries and inspiring innovation, the homogenized outputs may reinforce existing norms and stifle the kind of daring experimental art that challenges the status quo. In an educational setting where nurturing creative exploration is paramount, relying on these tools could inadvertently promote conformity over originality. A recent viral post of the most beautiful person from every country, according to AI, which I will put up here somewhere, exemplifies this, with the women and the people were all women, generated by AI often being eerily similar, with fair skin and generic accoutrements inspired by their location. You can see this in the Canadian version, who is dressed for the cold, because it's cold here, with Anne of Green Gables hair and a plaid shirt. Women from countries like Egypt and Morocco are shown wearing minimalistic head coverings, despite the fact that there's a chance that they would not be, and who decides what is beautiful? You'll also see AI images of Elon Musk that he likes to share, where he's super buff and has that Batman chest plate as he's dressed as a gladiator. There's a lot of video game aesthetics that go into these things. Another issue is verifying the legality of how all of this information was obtained. So many training sets are pretty opaque, so we can't see what went into them, and if they're talked about as open source, like maybe DeepSeek, it might just be marketing hype, or open washing they call it. Without transparency, it's nearly impossible to know if creative works are being used ethically or legally, and then you have to add to these concerns, like, is it just stealing?
Daddy, I'm stealing!
This headline encapsulated the growing frustration among rights holders that AI companies are using their stuff, and AI companies are saying that they're using it in a transformative way, and that therefore it's justified under fair use. But ethical critiques like those from Getz's article, like I mentioned before, says that by scraping and repurposing creative works without permission or compensation, these companies are essentially building their models on stolen creative labor. So for educators, these issues have deep implications. If the digital tools and content we use in our classrooms are built on unauthorized data scraping and cultural appropriation, we could risk normalizing unethical practices. Our curriculum might inadvertently perpetuate harmful stereotypes or devalue the creative rights of communities, and especially those communities whose cultural expressions are already marginalized or may not populate data sets in a super well-reflected way. Moreover, when we understand AI's practices as a form of labor theft, we can look at it as that it's not just misattribution, it's about denying artists the full value of their creative efforts. Getz argued that just as in John Locke's philosophy, which I don't often get to throw John Locke into conversation, but that's I'll take it. John Locke asserts that mixing one's labor with raw materials confers rightful ownership to you. The use of a creative work, then, without consent is a denial of that ownership. So this perspective strengthens our call for ethical standards and fair compensation in AI development. So as educators, we have to advocate for transparent ethical standards in digital content practices. We need to make people aware of these flattening effects. We have to ensure that the tools and resources that we bring into the classroom respect intellectual property and cultural heritage, and we can help to protect the integrity of our educational system and those that surround it. And I think this sometimes involves like thinking, do I really need to use AI for this?
Stop the presses!
I thought I was done recording for this, but in the last couple of days there's been lots in the news about Studio Ghibli and AI art, and an old clip of Miyazaki responding to being shown some AI has resurfaced. And in the interest of fair use, I thought it was a great way for us to wrap up our understanding of, the creative implications and the intellectual property implications of artificial intelligence. Enjoy.
人工知能で動きを学習させた CG を見せてくれるそうです。
これ踊ってるように見えますけど、でこれは早く移動するっていうのを学習させたやつなんですね。これ頭を使って移動してるんですけど、基本痛覚とかないし、頭が大事だとかっていう概念がないんで、だからもう頭をもう普通の足のように使って移動してるっていう、この動きがとにかく気持ち悪いんで、ゾンビゲームの動きに使えるんじゃないかっていう、こういう人工知能を使うと多分人間が想像できない気持ち悪い動きができるんじゃないか。一応こんなことをやっています。実際には
毎朝この頃会わないけど身体障害の友人がいるんですよ。そのハイタッチって言うんだけど大変なんです。彼の筋肉がこわばってる手と僕の手でこうハイタッチするで、その彼のことを思い出してね、僕はこれ面白いと思って見ることできないですよ。これを作る人たちは痛みとかそういうものについてね、何も考えないでやってるでしょ。極めて不愉快ですよね。そんなに気持ち悪いものをやりたいなら勝手にやってればいいだけで、僕はこれを自分たちの仕事をつなげたいとは全然思いません。極めて何か生命に対する侮辱を感じます。
これでもほとんど実験なので、
それは分かってます。
その世の中に見せてどうこうってそういうものじゃないんです。
それは本当によく分かってるつもりですけど、どこへたどり着きたいんですか。
人間が描くのと同じように絵を描く機械
を作りたいんだ。
はい。
地球最後の日が近いって感じですね。それは人間の方が自信がなくなってくるからです。